guys, and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Kurin. I film a lot of lifestyle and motherhood content. I am currently 18 weeks pregnant with our double rainbow baby. If you're interested in that type of content, definitely make sure that you subscribe and follow along on our journey. Today's video is all about first trimester, how to survive your first trimester, and my first trimester must-haves. This pregnancy has been so different than my pregnancy with my son, like night and day. It is absolutely crazy. It makes me believe in the old wives' tales predictions, because all of my symptoms with my son were boy symptoms and all of my symptoms with my daughter have been girl symptoms. Let's get into my symptoms and kind of how my first trimester went. Number one thing that has been the craziest thing for me is that I gave up coffee, which is absolutely just insane for me. I have been drinking coffee since I was 3 years old. Not kidding. My mom would make me like little shot glasses of coffee. I've been drinking coffee every single day since. I'm usually a 2-cup a day type of gal. My nausea and morning sickness, all day sickness actually, did not allow me to drink coffee. I actually switched over to tea because I still wanted something warm to drink in the morning. So I have been drinking black tea with a little bit of sugar and oat milk in it, and that has been my morning drink now. Oh, another thing that I should mention is I started progesterone the day that I found out I was pregnant. I called my OB and it was in our plan that I would start progesterone right away to see if it would help keep this pregnancy going, since I have had 2 back-to-back losses. So I started progesterone immediately. We went to go pick it up from pharmacy, and then we went grocery shopping after that. As soon as we were ready to check out at the grocery store, I started feeling like I was drunk. I felt so weird, lightheaded. I thought I was gonna pass out, and I didn't even realize that it was the progesterone that was causing me to feel so weird. I had that symptom for a very long time. I think that symptom went away at about 11 weeks, and that's when I switched to taking my progesterone vaginally. Number one tip, if you do start progesterone pills, take them vaginally, because when you take them vaginally, they don't have to go through your liver, so your body is actually absorbing more of the progesterone and you don't have the crazy wacky symptom that I had. I did have a decent amount of light cramping, which is very normal for me in my pregnancies. It just means that my uterus is stretching and things are growing, although it did freak me out because I have had 2 losses. So every time I was cramping, I was like, is this good cramping? Is this bad cramping? It kind of freaked me out. I did have sore boobs, but they didn't last very long. And my sore boobs were so like in and out. Like one day I would just be like in so much pain, and the next day they would not hurt at all, which was a mind game for me, because if you've had 2 losses, you kind of like focus in on everything. You're really nervous about your symptoms. It would freak me out when my boobs stopped hurting, because with my most recent loss that happened in December, all of my symptoms went away. And then that's when we found out that the baby's heartbeat was no longer beating. And this is gonna be TMI because this is pregnancy, first trimester. I did have a lot of like egg white mucus, discharge, cervical mucus, especially when I started taking my progesterone vaginally. So I took my progesterone all the way up until 14 weeks, and that's when I stopped. And when you take pills vaginally, it is messy. I was constantly having to go to the bathroom to wipe myself down because of the progesterone and just regular pregnancy cervical mucus. It was a mess. I began to get my nausea at about 5 weeks pregnant. I remember being at my mom's house and I would just wake up and just feel so sick. And I never had this with my son. I never got nauseous. There's a fly in our room. Never got nauseous. I never threw up or anything like that. So having the symptom was just so weird for me. And I felt sick up until about 11 weeks. I would feel sick in the morning. I would get a good couple of hours in the afternoon. And then at nighttime, we're supposed to be having dinner, my sickness would ramp up again and I just couldn't eat. I never threw up. There was a couple of times where I was like, I might, but it was just that cloud of nausea where I could not do anything but bare minimum taking care of my son and laying on the couch. Like, that is all I did for about a month and a half to 2 months. I had my first ultrasound. I was supposed to be like 7 weeks and 3 days or something. The baby was measuring about 5 days behind, which made sense because my tests were so light the day that I tested of my missed period. I think that I either ovulated late or implanted late, because the baby was measuring about 5 days behind. Heartbeat was 171, so it was great. And they ended up adjusting my due date. My original due date based off of my period was December 8th, I believe. And they moved my due date up to December 13th. Another crazy thing that happened to me this pregnancy is that I can't drink like lukewarm or room temperature drinks anymore. My whole life I have hated cold drinks. I hate ice in my water. Real water drinkers, you know this. Like, drinking room temperature water is the way to go. It's the easiest way to get hydrated. But with this pregnancy, I could not drink room temperature water anymore, and I switched over to ice water now. With the pregnancy after loss anxiety, I decided I was going to go get a Doppler. So I went on Facebook Market and I found a cheap Doppler, and I went and bought it the day that I turned 9 weeks, because 9 weeks is the earliest that you can find heartbeat on the Doppler. And it took me a while. I had to FaceTime my friend because she's like a seasoned Doppler user, but I was able to find her heartbeat at 9 weeks exactly. And if I have a video, I will insert it here so you guys can hear it. And this Doppler has really helped me get through the first trimester. With this pregnancy, it's just like constantly fighting off fear, constantly just praying. I wouldn't have been able to survive without my Doppler. So I was using it once or twice a week, depending on if I had an appointment or not. It's been amazing. Okay, so this is going to be my last symptom that I talk about before we move on to my must-haves and my tips and all of that. So I struggle with low blood pressure in the morning time specifically, and the symptom that I have from that is when I stand up, I almost pass out. Like, my eyes go black, I get really dizzy, and I lose my balance. It happens a lot, and the only way to really like help combat it is to stand up very slowly. But I never remember to stand up slowly, and it's just really annoying. There have been a couple of times where I literally have to like grab onto the wall because I'm almost falling over. And I talked to my midwife about it, and she said to get more electrolytes and more salt. And then I've also noticed that after I have my morning cup of tea, it tends to be better. And since there is a little bit of caffeine in my black tea, the caffeine might be helping to raise my blood pressure. I don't know, that's just my thoughts. But with that being said, I'm gonna move on to my must-haves. So when I was talking to my midwife about this low blood pressure symptom, she actually recommended that I drink liquid IV to help get my electrolytes in. And it's so funny because I'm a liquid IV addict. So this is my first must-have that I am going to talk about, and it is liquid IV. These are my two favorite flavors. This one's pina colada, my top favorite, and then tangerine. This is the immune boosting one. The reason it's a must-have is because it has helped with my low blood pressure symptom. I started kind of tracking and paying attention to when I was drinking liquid IV and if I was having the low blood pressure symptom, and it seems to really help. Because if you don't know what liquid IV is, it is a hydration multiplier. So it hydrates you 2 to 3 times more than water does. It has 3 times the electrolytes than traditional sports drinks do. So like it's has more electrolytes than Gatorade would or Powerade. It has 5 essential vitamins. It has vitamin B3, B5, B6, B12, and vitamin C. I have been using liquid IV for probably a year now, maybe a little over a year, and I actually do have a discount code with them. So my code is Kurin, and that will give you 25% off and free shipping. For me, it really helped in my first trimester because I wasn't wanting to drink water and I wasn't wanting to eat anything. And especially for those of you mamas who struggle with throwing up a lot, I thankfully never did throw up, but I still wasn't drinking as much as I needed to, and I definitely wasn't eating at all. So if you're at least getting your electrolytes and some vitamins in you, I think it's really, really helpful for that first trimester. Biggest tip though is to add more water than you think you need. So a lot of people will just add it to like an 8-ounce or 14-ounce water bottle, and then it does not taste very good. So my suggestion is to like fill a large glass of water and then pour one of these guys into it. So this is what they look like. They're just a little packet. You can also add like fresh lime or fresh lemon to it as well. Again, if you guys would like to try it out, you can use my discount code and I will have it linked down below as well for you. My second must-have is peppermint essential oil. This helped me get through so many nights where I was feeling sick. On top of the nausea, I was also having like a lot of indigestion and like gas issues, but like painful gas that just won't leave your body. And so in order to get myself to go to sleep, I would take this peppermint and rub it all over my stomach, and then I put it under my nose, on my temples, sometimes the back of my neck. This also really helps for headaches and then as well as nausea. So just smelling the peppermint really helped get me through some of those really bad nausea spells. So peppermint oil, you can get it, I mean, at any natural grocery store. I personally use the brand doTERRA. It's a very good natural way to deal with nausea and feeling sick and gas and helping your tummy feel better in general. So my next must-haves are my prenatals. So the prenatal that I take is by Megafood, and it is Baby and Me Too. And the reason that I chose this one is because if you look at the ingredients, all of the ingredients are easy to read. The quality of the ingredients is very important. I have never taken a gummy prenatal just because they don't give you what you need out of a prenatal. It's all derived from foods, fruits and vegetables, and also it has choline in it, which is really, really good for you, as well as folate instead of folic acid. That's another very, very important thing. Folate is the natural version of folic acid, so it's easier for your body to digest and to break down. When you're taking a prenatal that has folic acid in it, it's actually harder for your body to absorb and harder for your body to break down. For me, I just wanted to make sure that my body was getting enough folate in it. I decided to buy extra folate, and this is by Thorne. This is the MTHF 1 milligram of methylfolate, and I just take one of these a day. It's literally just folate. Folate is very important for your developing baby, and I just want to make sure that my body is absorbing enough good folate. So those are all of my must-haves. Let's move into a couple of tips that I have for you guys to get through your first trimester. My number one tip is just to rest as much as you possibly can. For me, I'm a stay-at-home mom. I was able to nap when Israel was napping. I was able to lay on the couch a bunch and just give my body the rest that it needs, because during your first trimester, you are exhausted, absolutely exhausted. Your body is doing so much more than you even realize that it's doing, and it needs the rest. That's why you feel so tired. So go to bed early, wake up late if you can, take naps through the day if you're able to. Even if it's just laying on the couch, like I said, I was doing a lot. Your body needs the rest, so make sure that you give it the rest. And then number two is to stay hydrated, like I talked about with the liquid IV. This is my massive water bottle. I don't even know how many ounces it is, but I'd fill this up and make sure that I drink like at least one a day. Normally I drink about 2 to 2.5 of these a day, but when you're feeling nauseous, you don't really want to drink much. So try and stay hydrated. Liquid IV can really help with that. So I was trying to sip on that as much as I could. Another tip is to try and eat very small little snacks. Instead of trying to focus on like breakfast, lunch, and dinner, focus on eating small snacks throughout the day, because I did notice that if I didn't eat, I would feel more nauseous. So you feel nauseous to begin with, so you don't eat, but then you don't eat, so you're feeling nauseous because you haven't eaten, if that makes sense. So if you go get like a really good granola bar, I really like the Kind bars. They're just basically nuts, like all nuts, and they're really good. They have a decent amount of protein in those. I ate a ton of saltines. I would just like eat a whole sleeve of those at night when I started to get a little bit more of an appetite. Another tip is to just leave some crackers on your bedside table, and before you even get up in the morning, shove some crackers in your mouth so you get something in your system before you get up and start walking. That helps with the nausea a little bit. Also, give into your cravings. I always gave into my cravings, especially during my nauseous weeks, even if it was a crap craving. Like if it was chips, I would have Aidan go get chips, and that's what I would eat for dinner, because that's the only thing that my body wanted or what I was craving. So give into your cravings, especially when you're feeling nauseous, because it might just be the only thing that you eat that day, and you definitely need to be getting a little something into your system. So that's all that I have for you guys today. I hope that you found it helpful and that you enjoyed it. Make sure that you guys subscribe and hit that notification bell. I'm going to be uploading a lot more throughout this pregnancy, especially as more exciting things begin to happen. I plan to have a home birth, and we will be vlogging our birth as well. So a lot of exciting things coming up. Know that you guys are loved, and I will see you in the next one. Bye guys.